Johnny's daddy was taking him fishing.
You're listening to the Casting for Fun podcast, the show that talks about entertainment, sports, music, and inspirational stories for all to enjoy. We're glad you could join us today. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Now, here is your host, Albert Pineda.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of the Casting for Fun podcast. I am your host, Albert Pineda, and joining me for this episode is my awesome, wonderful wife, Allison. Allison, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you guys?
Really good. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. We're going to be talking a subject material that I know is very near and dear to you. We're talking Tim McGraw, right?
Yes, very near and dear.
Very cool. So this is going to be a unique episode because we're recording this on a Sunday afternoon on June 30th. Tomorrow, I am scheduled to have a very important medical procedure done, which is going to put me in the hospital for a couple of days. But I'll still release this episode on the 3rd while still in the hospital. It's kind of unique and cool how technology works, that I can record this episode, edit it, but then save it and actually post it later. It'll post automatically for all my listeners to hear on Wednesday morning on July the 3rd.
Sounds great.
Yeah, but so again, we're recording right before the 4th. So again, as you're listening to this, it will be on Wednesday the 3rd. A happy 4th of July to everybody. I hope everyone has a wonderful time celebrating, and you're hearing my voice early, but I'm hopeful and confident that everything will go well with the surgery and that I'll be back to my normal self hopefully soon, but we'll see how long the recovery process takes, right?
Yes, that's the hope.
Mm-hmm.
Happy 4th, everyone.
Yes. So let's go ahead and dive into it. So we want to talk about Tim McGraw. So we had the opportunity to go see him in concert a few nights ago at the Kia Forum. So where we also saw Depeche Mode and seen many concerts before. And Tim McGraw's, one of his noteworthy albums celebrates its 30th anniversary, or celebrated earlier this year on March the 22nd. The album Not a Moment Too Soon. I don't know if that's one of your favorite Tim McGraw albums.
They're all good.
They're all good. Okay, so you're cool talking about all of them.
Yeah,
I guess there's a number of albums I could have chose, but I chose this one particularly because it is celebrating its 30th anniversary, and it falls into that time frame that we've been talking about for the show to this point. Stuff that's released in the calendar year of 1994. Before we get to that, though, who is Tim McGraw exactly? Do you know?
Well, it sounds like you researched him pretty well, so you know way more than I do. All I know is he's a hot country singer.
So how did your fascination from Tim McGraw start then? Can you remember that far back?
Yeah, I was in college. Two of my girlfriends that I lived with, Carrie and Lynette, we grew up a little bit together in Payson. Carrie liked Tim McGraw. I don't know how she started off with him, and so we all kind of started liking it, and we would listen to it a lot, and to the point even that our friend Karen, who was getting married that year, she asked us to sing, which I think is hilarious that I should sing, but thankfully I was with Carrie and Lynette and they have really pretty voices. So Carrie, Lynette, and I sang a Tim McGraw concert at Karen's wedding. That was back when you had different people just entertain you at weddings, Mormon weddings at least. Mm-hmm. And so we sang a song and we were just like super into Tim at that time, and that was 20 some years ago. More than 20 years ago, and I've just loved him ever since. What
song did you sing?
My Best Friend.
My Best Friend. Okay, I don't think I know that one.
You should play it and insert it in the podcast.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that. So we'll insert my Best Friend so everyone can get a feel of that.
For the first time, I didn't feel alone. You're more than a lover. There can never be another. Make me feel the way you do. And oh, we just get closer. I fall in love all over. Every time I look at you, I don't know where I'd be.
Why is that song meaningful?
It just talks about how you fell in love with your best friend. That's what's good for a wedding.
Oh, okay. Very cool. Very
cool. He didn't sing it at his concert, and I was kind of bummed about that, but it's a really known song for him.
Okay. Well, I did notice that for his concert, he didn't play any of the songs that we're going to go over for this 30th anniversary.
Yeah.
He played some that were close to it, like the I Like It, I Love It, which was released the following year in 1995. He did play that one, and I recognize that one.
Mm-hmm.
But so Tim McGraw, his backstory, his family history story is very interesting. So he was born in Louisiana, but the interesting part to know about is that his mom had actually became involved with a man while living in Florida in Jacksonville. And what happened was this particular man was a minor league baseball player at the time. His nickname was Tug McGraw. He would go on to become a professional baseball player and play for both the New York Mets and the Philadelphia Phillies. In fact, winning a World Series with the Phillies in 1980, which is pretty crazy. So Tim McGraw was born in Louisiana because when his mom became pregnant with him, her family had her go live in Louisiana, not in Florida. So he had no idea who his actual biological father was.
Oh, that's crazy.
He assumed that the man that his mom would marry was actually his father. In fact, he took his surname of Smith. So I guess, growing up, he was Samuel Timothy Smith, which is kind of crazy. And he would kind of accidentally find out about his true parentage by digging through his mom's closet for a school project and found his actual birth certificate with the name McGraw attached to it. What's also interesting to note is that Tim would eventually get to meet his biological dad, Tug McGraw, but I guess according to what I found in my research, Tug didn't want anything to do with him or didn't want to be involved in his life. I guess it would be later in his later teenage years, like maybe 17 or 18, that they finally reconciled and they actually had a good relationship up until the fact that the point that he died. But it is interesting to learn that he comes from a very unique parentage and that his biological father was a professional Major League Baseball player and won the World Series with the Phillies. So I don't know if you knew that.
I did not. That's awesome.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That explains why he's so into sports.
Yeah. So that's what I also read as well, that he had aspirations to play sports. I mean, suffered a knee injury, which I think prevented him from going any further. But he ended up moving to Nashville, like you do, if you want to be a country star. And, there's probably hundreds, if not thousands of people who moved to Nashville with aspirations to be a country star. But he had what it took, right?
Yeah. Well, did you say why he actually went into country though?
I didn't see anything in my research as to why. I don't know. Do you know?
No, I'm curious now.
Well, I mean, I think assuming it might have been mostly because of his injury, that his knee injury that kind of prevented him from going further in sports. But a lot of people, I guess they love it and they want to try their luck. And, we're hearing about Tim McGraw's success story, but there's probably so many people who tried and we don't get to hear their stories because they weren't successful. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is interesting to note that, his first recorded album in 1993, I guess self-titled, was a minimal success. Very he could have easily fallen under the wayside based on that first album. But it was this album that we're going to be discussing, Not a Moment Too Soon, released in 1994, that really drove him to the superstardom, as it were. And again, all of this is just me doing research because, again, I didn't know any of this really at all. In fact, I only knew one Tim McGraw song before marrying Allison, and we'll get to that song eventually on this album. But again, yeah, this is mostly to appease my wife and to make sure that she has fun because she really wanted to go to that concert, right?
Yes, she did.
Okay, so tell us about the concert. What made you want to really go, and let's go ahead and dive into the whole experience of the concert before we dive into the album Not a Moment Too Soon.
I mean, I've always wanted to see him live and I love his music. And I think you and I were talking about this on the way to the concert. I've never really grew up going to a lot of concerts. I kind of thought that they were just for people that just went to smoke pot. It wasn't something that I thought would be really my scene. And then when you and I started going to concerts a lot, like when we first got married, I realized how good it is to hear live music and how much fun it is to see the artist live. And so when we started doing that, I was like, well, now he's on my short list of people that I wanted to see. So when I saw that he was coming here months and months and months ago, I mean, this was months ago, then I was like, oh, we have to go see him live. And I'm so glad we did. It was really, really cool to see him perform.
Mm-hmm. So much so that we actually postponed my surgery for a little bit in order for me to go to the concert, right?
Yes, that's very selfish of me, but I didn't want to miss out.
No, it'd be unfair of you to miss out. In fact, I mean, we missed out seeing Carrie Underwood because of this illness that was, from over a year ago.
Yes,
so
we did. I'm still bitter about that.
So it's nice to just nip this in the bud and get this taken care of. But that's how I got that. With a future episode, we'll dive in a little bit more into my medical procedure and everything. But yeah, the concert itself, what did you think? Based on other concerts that you've been to, what did you like about Tim McGraw's performance?
So one thing I hated is that he said that he doesn't talk a lot in his concerts. And part of me liked that because I'm like, well, I'm here to hear him sing. And if he can fit in more songs, then that's way better. But then part of me also was like a little bit bummed that we didn't get to hear like backstories to things and like side experiences, which a lot of artists will share at their concerts. And so you feel like you're kind of a little bit more special because you heard that story and he's sharing it with you. And he didn't do that. So I was a little bit bummed about that. But then also I was like, well, I really want to just hear music. So that was good.
Yeah, yeah. From the music aspect, and again, as I mentioned before, country isn't my forte, as it were. I'm more of a rock guy myself. But again, what I liked was, I mean, it did have kind of like a heavier guitar sounding. So if you listen to some of the songs that he played live, and then you listen to the recorded aspect of it on his albums, like it sounds like heavier live, which I guess kind of gives it a more rock feel. The laser and lighting techniques that he did for introducing himself was really cool. So it really gave that rock star vibe. So that's kind of what I got from it. So yeah, for casual fans who maybe aren't really on the board on board with country music, I mean, I'm probably not going to change your mind. In fact, technically, I'm still not quite on board either. But
right.
But that being said, it was a really fun show. Not just obviously because I got to attend with my wife, but it was a fun show. Objectively speaking, because of the theatrical performance that he put on, how his band performed really, really well, heavier guitar sound. So it could give it a good rock sound to it, to what would be traditional country music. Or I guess he kind of has more of a country pop rock to his sound, right? Is that a good way of describing Tim McGraw?
No.
No?
It's country.
Well, okay.
I don't know why you're throwing pop in there.
No, I don't want to say pop, but I guess more being like not so much like old school country, but I guess more the contemporary style, which is more like rock heavy, right?
Yeah, okay. I'll give him a country rock kind of feel.
Okay.
You're trying to say that he's not twingy country.
Yeah. What is twingy what I think it is?
Yeah, I think that's what you don't like.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. The opening artist who performed for him, what's her name? Carly?
Yeah, Carly Pierce.
Yeah, I guess she did a twangy song.
She did on purpose.
Yeah, on purpose. Yeah. Okay. Oh, very cool. Very cool. One other thing I wanted to mention about Tim McGraw, that probably a lot of people know this as well, and it was integrated into his show, which is really cool. The fact that he's had a successful career in Hollywood, working on lots of movies and TV shows. We got to see clips of his show, 1883. Thank you. Which I guess is a prequel miniseries to the popular streaming show Yellowstone with Kevin Costner, which I was kind of cool. I didn't know that, and it was cool that he got to act in that with his wife, Faith Hill. Well, a lot of people probably know that extremely well. That Faith Hill is also a successful country singer in her own right. I mentioned this because frequent collaborator to the show and good friend of the show, Nick Turner, he's a big fan of country music. And I remember when we were roommates, the movie Country Strong came out, which featured him. But instead of Faith Hill, it was actually the starring role went to Gwyneth Paltrow. And I remember him being really, really upset about that. So that's kind of like how I knew Tim McGraw, because I guess Nick knew who he was and really wanted to see that movie, and was kind of bummed and disappointed that Faith Hill wasn't in the movie. But they got to work together in Hollywood after all, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah, and then again, Tim McGraw has a really impressive resume of Hollywood pictures that he's done, like the Four Christmases movie with Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon. Friday Night Lights, the movie version, The Blind Side, with Sandra Bullock. He was Sandra Bullock's his wife of that husband. I'm sorry. Sandra Bullock would be the wife. I apologize. Yeah. Sandra Bullock's husband from that true story of the football player they took in. Numerous other projects as well. It's very numerous stuff. So it's pretty cool that he has found success in the realm of Hollywood acting, where other people maybe kind of like dabble their toes a little bit, but don't quite find the same level of success that he's found, right?
Yeah, he's lucky he's done both really well. That speaks to his abilities.
Okay, so you want to dive into this album now that we're talking about?
Sure.
Okay, so we're discussing Not a Moment Too Soon, first released on March 22nd, 1994. So just celebrated its 30th anniversary. This is going to be an interesting conversation. So let's go ahead and dive into this song track by track, like we do here on the podcast. We're going to dive into track number 1, which is the first song on the album. It's called It Doesn't Get Any Countryer Than This.
She's what you had in mind for me. She likes to go skinny dipping in the heat of the day, and late at night she wants to roll in the hay. She cries she didn't grow up on a farm, but she sure knows her way around out behind.
So the first song, it doesn't get any countrier than this. The way I always kind of understood it is that country obviously is the style of music, but that it's also like I guess a lifestyle. It's a state of mind, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so then when you say it doesn't get any countrier than this, in the lyrics of this particular song, Tim is talking about, I guess, like a girl who's pretty wild and kind of having like a fun time, and like it doesn't get any countrier than this describing the things that they're kind of doing, like, you know, in the barn. And I mean, not being too like naughty about it, but I mean, it's like, I guess having a good fun party time, right?
Yes, it's about having a good time and just like relaxing and being free.
Oh, okay. Is this one of your favorite songs?
No, I mean, it's a good song. It's not my favorite, but it's a good song. But I do like the idea of just like living a little, like, it's funny, when I grew up very country sometimes because of living in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can hunt and fish and do a lot of farming stuff, and not everybody can do that. And I always fought it and didn't want to be a country girl. And now I'm like, oh, I love that idea. Like, I want to go fishing again. So it's just a good song.
I guess so, yeah. So you can look at it, it's like not so much like some of the things that are discussed in the lyrical content of the song, but more like, again, like the lifestyle, or like what you would do that you don't normally can do in the city. In fact, there's another song that kind of talks about that as well. It's Down on the Farm, which we're going to get to in a few songs, which kind of that same concept, that there's some activities and enjoyment that you can have in the country that you can't really do in the city, right?
Mhm.
So what would be your favorite country activity that it would be like, it doesn't get any your country than this because I can do this, but I can't do this in the city?
I think just having the freedom to go out in the outdoors. Like, I feel like in California, like, there's so much city and shopping and stores and all this stuff that there's not like a wild free place that you can just go play in your neighborhood and come back. Like, we used to do that when I lived in Utah. We would go to the fields and we would play things like snipe hunts and silly things and looking for crickets and building forts and stuff like that. And like, we would just be gone for hours and just playing and just like getting dirty and getting like out in nature. And like, our kids don't have that experience because there's not like a place to be like, yeah, go run free. And it's not the same environment in society anymore. But I feel like we did that a lot. Like, in the country, we just like went free and did whatever we wanted with the outdoors, and that was amazing.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I guess we had to look at it that the life moves pretty fast in the city, but it's in the country, things are a little slower, so you can have time to stop and just enjoy things and maybe a little bit more, reflect more on things.
Right.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and jump into track number 2 now. This is Give It To Me Straight.
Bartender, I may sit here on this bar stool all night long, but I won't need much attention. I just need some time at home. So if you'll give me some quarters and a bottle of your best, you can just sit back and let the jukebox do the rest. Give it to me straight, singing my blue while I sit here and cry. Tell me how my baby's gotten so good at goodbye. It's gonna take a fireman to put this old flame out. So come on, give it to me straight before I...
So track number 2, Give It To Me Straight, spelled straight, T-R-A-I-T. So not like straight like G-H-T, like in like the word straight, like a straight line, but straight, as in my understanding was, according to my notes, it's referencing and paying homage to country singer George Strait, right?
Yes.
And I guess this song also features like references and mentions of other famous country songs, none of which I know. So so it's kind of lost on what goes over my head. But I guess it also kind of references or talks about the idea of like someone who's in a bar and, you know, he's the jukebox songs playing. They mention, you know, blasting Hank. So I guess referring to Hank Williams, right?
Mm-hmm.
Famous old twangy country singer. But actually, Hank Williams, I do know his material, his music pretty good.
Oh, good job.
Thanks. Nick's grandpa was a huge fan of Hank Williams.
Hey.
But then I guess, you know, in a way, like, I guess you're talking to the bartenders there, and like, you know, he's telling him, give it to me straight, you know, tell me like it is, as it were. Bartenders, I guess, in a way, are like the best therapists there are, right?
Supposedly, I've never been to a bartender.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
supposedly,
obviously for our religious beliefs, yeah, we don't go to frequent bars. But my understanding is watching numerous movies and TV shows. Yes, you always see the bartender talking to their patrons and helping them
right,
with their problems. Some are really good, some are pretty bad. But
right.
so this is a song that you enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is more like old school country, like the twangy country, and I think that's kind of fun that he's using that as a way to pay tribute, like you said, to the other people.
Okay, very nice.
Mm.
Let's go ahead and jump into track number 3 then. This is Wouldn't Want It Any Other Way.
A little wiser, with a lot more wealth, and without you, it's true I'd be free to go chasing all my dreams without any strings. But I wouldn't want it any other way. Having you to come home to at the end of every day. Your tender touch puts a smile back on my face. Wouldn't want it any other way.
So that's track number 3, Wouldn't Want It Any Other Way. One thing I would say about country music, and I guess you would maybe attest to this, or you'll have your own opinion because it's your favorite style of music or one of your favorites. That
It is my favorite.
Okay, I should have known that. That's your husband for 10 years, almost
Yes,
10
you
years.
should.
But the way I kind of see it is a lot of the country lyrics are very straightforward in that the story that they're kind of telling is pretty easy to understand. Like with rock music, it's a lot of abstract stuff. Like a lot of times you don't quite get it. Like you have to kind of have like inside information. Like the lyrics sound cool, but maybe they don't always make a whole lot of sense. With these, I think it's pretty straightforward. So with this particular song, Wouldn't Want It Any Other Way, it seems like it's talking about like a husband and a wife, or man and woman who are in a relationship, and it's mentioned that it's kind of limited in what they can do because they're not quite free, because obviously in a relationship you have more responsibilities to your spouse, especially if you have kids. So there's so much that you kind of have to do together, where you're not just free to just run off and do whatever you want. And sometimes you have to give up, like, certain dreams, like career aspirations, because you're raising a family, things of that nature. But regardless of what you have to give up, when they say the concept is, I wouldn't have it any other way, because marriages and relationships are challenging and difficult. Sometimes it may seem like it's easier being single, but of course, tell that to the person who's stuck not being able to find a relationship. They go through struggles too. So I guess the way I kind of want to say it, I'm just kind of rambling a little bit too much, but I think you can find joy and happiness in whatever you're doing, and understand that with challenges come huge blessings and opportunities and great things that come through the relationships we're in. So regardless of anything hard or difficult going on, you would kind of go with the mindset of, I wouldn't have it any other way, right?
Yes. How do I say this nicely? I disagree.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's the theory that you are either happy single or happy married, but you just got to be happy on your own.
Uh-huh.
And there's some truth to that for sure, because you have to find happiness within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I think I'm a much happier person being married to you than without.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for me. I guess it's a testament to me. I guess I want to say it that way for individuals who are single, and they may, in this life, they may never find a spouse or a partner. So it'd be kind of difficult and hard for them. But
well, and I think that's where the challenge comes. Like you and I, we got married later on in life. Like we just have to find our own happiness. So for sure, that's like, there's truth to that. Like you're happy with or without. But I just want to say that being married to you has made me much happier.
Okay, well, thank you. And me too. So there you
Okay,
go.
good.
But then to my point earlier, then, do you think country music is kind of told that way? Like it's kind of easier to understand in the messages that they're trying to convey in the songs?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a joke that your country songs are either going to be about a breakup, falling in love, getting shot, losing your dog, riding your truck. Like there's like 5 or 6 themes that are universal in country music, and they all seem to be about the same stuff. But that's one of the things I like about it, is it's pretty simple and there's not like a whole lot of brain power required. I don't listen to country music because I want to sit and analyze things. I listen to it because it's easy and it's nice to hear.
Okay, well, I love analyzing, especially now since I've been doing these track by track album reviews.
Well, I'm sure you can analyze every song, but I like
Yeah.
it because it's simple.
Okay,
It's like
yeah.
not one more complicated thing I have to figure out.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, very
Yeah.
good. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into track number 4. This is Down on the Farm. So this is the 5 singles. This album contains 10 songs, and half of them were singles. So that all 5 were very successful in the country charts. This was the 3rd single released. It's called Down on the Farm, and it goes back to the earlier point we were talking about, the country lifestyle or mindset. So let's go ahead and dive into this song right now.
Filled with pickup trucks. Got old Hank cranking way up loud. Got coolers in the back, tailgates down. There's a big fire burning, but don't be alarmed. It's just country boys and girls getting down on the farm. It's been on a tractor, ain't seen Becky all week. Somebody said they seen them headed down to the creek. Farmer Johnson's daughters just pulled up in a Jeep. Man, he knows how to grow them, if you know what I mean. Old Dave's getting loud, but he don't mean no harm. We're just country boys and girls getting down on the farm. You can have a lot of fun in a New York minute, but there's some things you can't do inside those city limits. I ain't no closing time, I ain't no cover charge.
So that's track number 4, Down on the Farm. Again, the lyric in this song that I kind of like, or that it kind of I think stands out pretty good. It says, "City life such as New York may be fun, but some joys are only experienced through the country state of mind." Or actually, I apologize. That's not a lyric from the song. That's actually how I was phrasing it. It's like the lyric goes, "You may find fun in a New York minute, but there's only certain things you can do within the city limits."
Hey, good job.
That's how the lyric goes, something like that. Okay, yeah. So the idea and concept that there's certain things that you can't do in the city. I mean, there's no open space. I mean, like you have all those high-rise buildings, like say if you're living in Manhattan, whereas in the countryside, there's all that open road and farm and I guess other things that you can do to find enjoyment. For me being a city boy, it'd be kind of hard for me to truly embrace the country lifestyle, but there's definitely joy and happiness in lots of aspects of living, right?
Yeah, I mean, I like that it's just people having fun. And I'm sure that there's lots of ways to have fun. And so you could have fun in New York, but it's just something fun about like that this is how they have fun in the country is they just have a simple life and do simple things.
Very cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into track number 5. This one was also a single. It's called Not a Moment Too Soon, the title track from the album.
We're just way too much to hope for. But when I saw you, I knew I'd seen the light. And not a moment too soon, without a minute to spare. Touch my heart when I didn't have a prayer in my darkest hour, with my world filled with gloom. Your sweet love saved me, not a moment too soon.
So that's track number 5, Not a Moment Too Soon. Another one that I think is pretty straightforward in its message. I mean, we love our loved ones and they have positive influence on us. And, as we just heard here on the show, that I have a positive influence on Allison, which is really, really good. But then also, I guess we look at it that a lot of these influences that reach us for good, they arrive just in the nick of time, just when we absolutely needed them. Because sometimes it can kind of seem like you're lost or there's darkness when you don't have these individuals here helping you, but then all of a sudden someone comes up out of the blue to lift you up and to save you, which is pretty cool, right?
Yeah, I mean, I just think also it does show the influence that love can really have. Like I've often thought to myself, like, is love really enough? Like everyone says love is all you need, right? Well, is it really enough? And then something like this song I think reinforces that, yeah, when all the other stuff washes away and and you really look down at the nitty gritty of a relationship, love is enough. And I love that part about the song.
Mm-hmm. And it may be that the writers of the song, and again, was kind of interesting to learn for the research, is that Tim McGraw actually didn't contribute to the writing process for this album, and I think he actually contributed more to songs later in his career. But some of the earlier stuff were actually written, I think, by his band. So whoever was writing the song, I think you can look at it from the perspective of a relationship, but also I think you can even think of it from like any individual who can come in and help people and save people just in the nick of time when they need it. So it doesn't necessarily have to always be like a romantic type of love, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Any love for anybody can save things.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into track number 6. This is an interesting one too. So
I love this one.
So this was also a big single. It's called Indian Outlaw. And we're gonna dive into this one after we hear a little clip from the song. So here's track number 6, Indian Outlaw.
Outlaw, half Cherokee and Choctaw. My baby, she's a Chippewa. She's a one of a kind. All my friends call me Bear Claw. The village chicken is my pawpaw. He gets his orders from my mama. She makes him walk the line. You can find me in my wigwam. I'll be beating on my tom-tom. Pull out the pipe and smoke you some. Hey, and pass it around. 'Cause I'm an Indian outlaw. Half Cherokee and Choctaw. My baby, she's a Chippewa. She's a one of a kind.
So, Allison, what can you tell us about the Indian Outlaw?
Okay, I'm sure you'll have a lot of stuff about it where it's controversial, especially in today's day. But it's so fun. It's so catchy. I love that it's like the perspective of someone that's like living on the edge a little bit, but for the sake of a good cause. Like, yeah, it might not be socially correct cause now, but I just love that like it's all about doing like almost like Robin Hood, steal from the rich, give to the poor. Like it's doing the right thing for the little guy, and I love that concept.
Oh, it's definitely a really cool concept. Yeah. I wasn't sure about this. This song can actually maybe be a little confusing because, again, as we talked about country songs being kind of straightforward, when he was talking about, like, he mentioned several like notable Native American tribes like Chippewa, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it my understanding that certain people actually have a little bit of like Native American ancestry in them, right?
I've heard that. I don't know how true.
Yeah, so there could be the Caucasian individuals who actually have a little bit of Indian ancestry going back a couple of generations, which is kind of cool. So I wasn't sure if the people refer to the song, they do have Chippewa or any type of other Native American ancestry in their heritage. Again, I'm trying to say this as culturally sensitive as I can,
Mm-hmm.
but it is kind of interesting to think about those type of things. And then a week ago I had a conversation with a good friend of the show and good friend Stephen Cable about the song. He really enjoys it quite a bit, and we even kind of jokingly said, it's probably a song that doesn't get played that often anymore. I decided to do the research because I was just curious. You know what, let me Google search this and find out. And as I mentioned on a previous episode, there's a website I like to visit called setlist.fm, which gives you the complete set list from any band or musical artist. As it turns out, Tim McGraw played this song earlier this year.
Oh, why didn't we get it?
They got it in Florida, so it might depend on where he's playing.
California is probably too liberal for him to be able to get away with it.
Yeah, but again, he does have he's more left leaning in his politics, right?
That's true.
But no, and actually, according to the statistics from this website that follows it, many bands and artists, like, and registers what songs they play on tour. It's a song that actually still gets regularly played even this day and age, when you kind of think that because of the title it would be culturally insensitive and kind of a canceled song, but it still actually gets somewhat, not nearly as much as his bigger hit songs, I think, but this was at the time in 1994, this was a hit song for him, right?
Oh, a huge hit. But I also think it makes it such a big hit even nowadays because it's just such a cool song.
Yeah. So that's just an interesting thing to learn, that even in this day and age, it still gets paid on a somewhat regular basis, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
I like it.
Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into track number 7 now. This is Refried Dreams. This was yet another single. So let's go ahead and track number 7.
started going insane. Well, I headed south out of Del Rio, Texas, with a hell of a load on my brain. And I kept on going without even knowing how much your love really means. Now I'm messed up in Mexico, living on refried dreams. I'm down here in Mexico, sick as a dog. My head is pounding in this border town fog. Down to my last dime and coming apart at the seams. I'm messed up in Mexico.
So track number 7, Refried Dreams, kind of a play on words. So instead of refried beans, refried dreams, right? So the lyrical content I kind of can gather is that it's about a woman who leaves a man, and then the man, I guess the song is kind of about him, travels to Mexico, and he tries to get over the being dumped, pursuing his own dreams, which I guess are referred to as refried dreams in the song. This is a song that I don't quite understand. This was, again, not, maybe this would be one of those rare examples of not being straightforward country, or maybe I'm misunderstanding the song. But what did you take from this particular track?
I think you're thinking too hard. It's
Okay.
just about a guy that's like not doing well, and he's moved to another country to try and survive, and he's not surviving because he's living off of refried dreams. Like you said, a play on words with beans and dreams. So he's just basically saying that he's not doing well without the girl.
Okay, so it's good to have an actual country music expert here, because even with my
That's me,
research,
country music expert.
even with my research, I'm still getting stuff wrong when it comes to country music. So.
You're cute.
But yeah, this was the 5th and final single. But again, crazy that 5 successful singles from this album, which is really, really cool. But now we're gonna jump into a really, really important song, really great song. In fact, I would pick this as my favorite song on this particular album. And again, I'm not a big country fan and not really a big Tim McGraw fan. If I'm talking about how much I enjoy the music, it's to appease my wife Allison. But
Go back. Don't you like him more now after the concert?
I do, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Take it easy.
Gosh,
Take it easy.
Take it easy.
Okay, so we're gonna be talking about track number 8, Don't Take the Girl. Really important, really cool song. That song that I knew, that I was actually familiar with from many years ago. So let's dive into this one now. Track number 8, the second single from the album, Don't Take the Girl.
Same old boy, same sweet girl, 10 years down the road. He held her tight and kissed her lips in front of the picture show. Stranger came and pulled a gun, grabbed her by the arm, said, if you do what I tell you to, there won't be any harm. And Johnny said, take my money, take my wallet, take my credit cards. Here's a watch that my grandpa gave me. Here's a key to my car, mister, give it a whirl. But please don't take the girl.
Okay, so as I previously mentioned, I am familiar with this song because, again, 1994 was an incredible year for music. So many musical genres were well represented. You had a lot of noteworthy albums that were released during this calendar year that debuted at number 1 on the Billboard Top 200 music charts. This particular song was, again, released in 94, the year that I turned 14. And for those who aren't aware, that's when you reach of age to be allowed to go to our youth dances that we have. So when you're 14 years old, you can go to a church dance, and that's when you get to socialize, ideally meet members of the opposite sex, and then you'll have a good fun time learn like the early stages of like courtship and what you should be doing. So this particular song, I could swear I danced to so many times with many girls. Unfortunately, never with Allison. But
Yeah, why have we not? We should do that sometime.
okay, we should do just for fun, just for the
Yeah,
sake of
and
it.
he
Yeah.
also didn't play this one at his concert, and I was bummed about that.
Yeah. But I mean, this is a song that I can distinctly remember in those, like in the fall of 1994, going into like the winter and spring of 1995. This, along with like, also in 1994, you had the Boys to Men album, the two, which had the songs like on Bended Knee and Water Once Dry. So those were songs that, again, I wasn't a huge fan of, but I would constantly remember because I would dance to so many of those songs with so many different girls.
Yeah.
So I do distinctly remember this particular Tim McGraw song. This would be the one song that I knew before obviously meeting Allison, marrying Allison, and becoming more familiar with the rest of his catalog of music. So this is one that I knew.
That's a good one. I cannot listen to this song without crying. I just think the message behind it is just beautiful. The tone of his voice when he says "Don't take the girl," it's just like so tender. And I just love the idea of like falling for somebody that you didn't expect to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll give people a little content and background of the song. So if you're unaware, so basically it's a straightforward story, but it's telling the story of a boy at three different stages of his life. So the first stage, when he's a young boy at 8 years old, he wants to go fishing with his dad. And his dad was telling him, hey, we're going to bring this girl along. Someday when you get older, you're actually going to like girls. But as a normal, like, 8-year-old boy, you're probably like thinking, oh, girls are cooties. Like, I'm a He-Man woman hater, like the Little Rascals movie. I don't want this girl coming with me. Don't take the girl. The next part of the song deals with the same girl and the same boy going on a date, and they're going to the movie theater. They're just having a fun time, but this tragically a robber sticks them up with a gun, like saying, hey, give me your money, your wallet, your car. And the boy in the song is saying, take all my earthly possessions, I don't care, just please don't take my girl. And then the final part is the boy and the girl in the song are married. She successfully delivered a baby boy, but the doctor's saying that the wife's not going to survive. And then the boy is just pleading with God, praying, take my own life. I'll gladly change my own life, trade my own life, if you could just please don't take my girl. So it is a really
Look at you, you're all getting tearful right now. See, and you don't even love Tim. Why are you crying?
It's an important song, I think, when you are in a relationship and your spouse means the world to you, that you want to make sure that she's taken care of, and that no matter what's going on, that she and your kids are provided for and taken care of. So yeah, it's an important song. It's a touchy song. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Go Tim for making my husband cry.
Oh, you're funny.
I love it.
Anything else about the song you wanted to say?
Nope, I think you did it justice.
Okay, good. So yeah, it's a straightforward song, but again, it's kind of cool when you look at it that it's telling the story of a boy going through three different stages of his life, and it's very relatable. I think that's what makes it a really cool song, that it is absolutely relatable, especially when in my early teenage years, I probably going back to when I was dancing to this song at youth church dances, I wouldn't have really understood it, but now and in my almost mid 40s with the wife, almost been married for 10 years and 2 kids, it definitely takes on a whole new meaning for me. So
love it.
Okay.
Love it.
Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into track number 9, 40 Days and 40 Nights.
Well, I can barely keep afloat. I'm up the creek without a boat, and I've been adrifting heaven knows how long. 'Cause it's been raining 40 days and the 40 nights since you've been gone. Hey, well, drip, drip, drip goes the sound of the rain. The 4 winds are blowing like a hurricane. My friend said I should settle for any port in a storm. I'd rather be inside your loving arms, safe and warm. Girl, it's been a long time since I've seen sunshine. Baby, won't you come back?
So 40 Days and 40 Nights, it's a play on the Bible story of Noah and the flood, right? It's interesting that a lot of country artists, I think they do have backgrounds in Christianity, so I think they oftentimes incorporate stories from the Bible and things of that nature into their songwriting. So again, he takes the concept of the 40 days and 40 nights and the rainbow being the sign that the storm is over, but using the metaphor of like the rain being like the dark time, and that man is waiting for a sign to be that the dark times are over, and that he can actually find the love that he's looking for, right?
Yeah, it's about trying to separate yourself from a relationship that's not good, but also realizing the good that comes from it.
Oh, okay, I didn't catch that part. I thought it was just about trying to find someone, or like waiting for that someone to come.
Nope.
Okay, another example of me misunderstanding country lyrics.
You're funny.
Okay, it's very cool. So we reach the end of the album. It's a short album. It's only 10 songs long, but I think it's an enjoyable listening experience. I'll definitely give it props in that regard, even though obviously for me, this album doesn't rank as high as like, Super Unknown or any other like awesome 1994 albums that I've talked about. But that being said, let's go ahead and conclude this Tim McGraw album. This is track number 10, Ain't That Just Like a Dream?
Gravel driveway, and looking back, I can't believe he let her run with a boy like me. He said you better get her back by 10, or there'll be hell to pay. I can still feel her lips on mine. It's all so real, but lost in time. Ain't that just like a dream? Running wild and running free. We were rebels chasing time against the wind. Sometimes I long for just one night of the way I felt back then. But ain't that just like a dream? It always is.
So this song references like, great times in life, first dates, hanging out with friends, reminiscing about old times that make it feel like it was kind of just a dream, right? But I think it's kind of reflecting on past and almost like longing for the days of the past, right?
Right. Yeah. It's about saying that those were really fun times and I wish we could go back to them, but they were kind of a dream. So it may not be there,
Yeah, we definitely live in the here and the now, which is the reality. But those times, I guess try and enjoy the times you're in as much as you can, because someday the times that we're in will actually be referred to what we call as the good old days. Like Andy Bernard says that on the episode of The Office, the concluding finale episode. Like, I wish there was some way that we could know that we're in the good old days before we actually leave them, right?
Yeah, I love that line.
Yeah. So there we go. That's Not a Moment Too Soon by Tim McGraw. His most commercially successful album. I didn't actually get the actual number of sales, but again, this was a huge album for him and for country music. And then, in this time in like the early to mid 90s, so many of these artists were emerging and becoming popular, like I guess bringing country music to the mainstream, right?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that made him so popular is he made country music cool. Like he went from like a lot of really cool, like old school kind of twangy country, like we've talked about, and he took that and made it a little bit more modernized for that time. And so it made it like country was cool for people. And I love that about him. So I think he brought in a group of people for country that may not have been listening before and became country fans because of him.
Mm-hmm. So just to conclude the episode, for you, Allison, being the country music aficionado, the big fan, the expert, does this album rank among his best? And where do you also rank Tim McGraw as far as like an overall artist, as far as all your favorite country artists go?
Yeah, I would say this is among his best. I think there's a lot of other really great songs that he does that if you really wanted a sense of who Tim is, that you would want to listen to those too. But this was just so good because this is what caught his popularity and he went running with it. And as far as an artist himself, I mean, I think he's like in the top, I think he's in the top 5, but I think I'm granting it because he's super hot too. But I think that he's just a real personable, talented, beautiful voice singer, and he just really enjoys what he does and really has an ear for country music.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Yeah. So I promise you in the future, we'll dive into some of his other songs, maybe the albums that I think you enjoy more. And then I also promise you that when Kelsey Ballerini releases her new album, we'll dive into that one too.
Oh, I'm excited about that.
Okay, very cool. So we'll go ahead and wrap things up for today. This is probably going to be an episode a little bit on the shorter side, but again, I really wanted to get an episode in so that I don't miss podcasting while I'm out with my surgery. I promise I'm going to keep everybody posted. Thoughts, prayers, well wishes, good vibe, positive vibes, all of it will be really appreciated as I move forward with this, but I'm confident that everything will be okay.
Good attitude.
Yeah. And this was fun. It's always fun to talk music with you. Even if it's not necessarily my favorite, it's still a really fun experience. So thank you for joining me talking about this Tim McGraw album and reminiscing about our fun experience at his concert just this past weekend.
Yep. Go Tim.
Okay. Thanks everybody. You've been listening to the Casting for Fun podcast. Thank you, Allison. Always a pleasure.
Same. Go Albert.
Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
Johnny hit his knees and there he prayed. Take the very breath you gave me. Take the heart from my chest. I'll gladly take her place if you'll let me. Make this my last request. Take me out of this world. God, please don't take the girl